Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. And this is kind of a special episode of Pillow Talk because we rarely are not laying against the same pillow. But I'm talking to my wife. I'm all the way in Denver. She's all the way in Atlanta. And I want to say, that's my babe. How you doing today?
I had a great day until I found out something in my news feed about a wedding this weekend, and I was very surprised. But anyway, other than that, I'm okay. How are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
doing?
yeah. Well, you know what? I tell you what. A lot of sisters were very, very. Um, I don't know. I don't know if they were feeling insecure, but the the star of Insecure, Jay Ellis, did some real interesting stuff today. He got apparently this week he got married to a Serbian lady. We're gonna call her Becky until we figure out what her name is. You can look it up, Google it. And he has built his whole career apparently by being this sex symbol for black women. That all these black women looked up to, not looked up to him, but really kind of admired him for the roles he played. His whole Instagram feed was full of all these tributes to black women, and some felt like it might have been pandering because. So when he gets married, and the pictures are nice, and nice wedding photos, he cut the comments off. So I'm not gonna say much else. I'm gonna ask everybody, does anybody know who Jay Ellis is? Like, how many of you, give me a yes in the chat if you've ever seen him on the show Insecure, Issa Rae show. He's a pretty important character. And let me know if you know who Jay Ellis is, and just some of the controversy. I'll go to you, Alicia, because you're the only black woman on this in this conversation, other than the women that are listening. How did you feel? Like, what was it that got your attention about us? What led you to send this over to me?
Okay, so Jay Ellis, first of all, not only was he the star of Insecure, but he also played in another one of my favorite shows, The Game. Remember The Game? Do you ever watch
Yep.
that? You sat and watched it with me, but I
Yeah,
love that
as much
show,
as
The
much as I could
Game.
stomach, and I actually like
Really? You
football, but
didn't like
I
the
didn't.
show?
I couldn't stay in the game. I couldn't. I felt like that was more of a woman show, but it was. But I could
Boys,
tell it was entertaining. I knew
no,
you
you
liked it a
didn't
lot.
say that. Okay,
Yeah,
let me
because
tell let me
because
tell everybody. You sat and watched several episodes with me, and you kind of got into the storyline.
well, that's just because I think you cute, and I'll watch anything you watching because I'm really just watching you.
Well, I think like the writing, I don't want to get off into a tangent about the game, but the writing of that show, it was so realistic. Like it really got into the heads of black people. So I could relate to it very closely. But anyway, he played in the game, like some of the later seasons, not when Derwin was there. He came in after Derwin. See, you don't even know the whole story. But anyway, that was one of my favorite shows, The Game, and it was really nice to see him on that show. And he played in the all black cast. Then he goes to Insecure, and here he is as the main character in the all black cast. He is, I mean, he's nice on the eyes, Boyce. I don't want you to feel a certain way, but he's easy on the eyes. He's probably old enough to be my son, so I don't really look at him like that. But I just he just was an up and coming rising star in Black Hollywood.
Hmm. Well,
And I didn't follow him on Instagram, but I looked him up on Instagram and I'm like, wow, maybe there was warning that he would be married to, a white woman like this. And you can't see, like I scrolled his feed as far back as I could in about a 5-minute time span. Not one white woman is on his feed.
yeah.
What is going on?
If you look at his Instagram, I mean, I took a little screenshot. And the only picture of a white woman is actually the wedding picture. And what was really fascinating about the wedding picture was that you could tell that he's insecure about marrying this white woman because to use that word insecure, but he's insecure about marrying the white woman because he didn't even allow any comments on the wedding photo. And I thought that was really interesting. And that almost it makes you curious, right? Like I saw a lot of women, a lot of black women were kind of annoyed because I think that it seemed to me, you could tell me if I'm accurate about any of this, but it seemed to me they felt like they were being pandered to. That Issa Rae and Jay Ellis kind of got together and just said, okay, let's play this game of presenting you as a sex symbol to black women, dangling you in front of them as if this is some sort. And this is the interesting thing. Like sometimes women get caught up in the fantasies of what they see on TV, and they're thinking, okay, this is the kind of man I could have, and they really admire this guy. Men don't really do that as much. We do it in a different way. And then to find that black women were never considered or never really part of his long-term life plan. I don't actually blame them. I can understand being a little offended by that, and I think that's a California thing. I hear a lot of the brothers in California just don't like black women. What do you think about what I just said?
Okay, yeah, now I don't think, okay, I don't think as a black woman I was upset that he married a white woman. Like that part, we get it. We know love is love, and she's also an actress, so maybe they were on a movie set together, or maybe they met in the industry, and we get that black men do marry outside their race. Like we totally understand it. I think the part that gets me is that he has branded himself and marketed himself as this pro-black, I wouldn't say pro-black necessarily, but black character who plays in these ensemble roles where he's the black person, the love of his life. Like we see him on camera falling in love with a black woman, and we see him repeatedly, you know um, have this sort of romantic feel for black women. Not once have we ever seen him have a crossover film like apparently he is having now. Is because when I saw the article on Vogue magazine, it said that he is a Top Gun Maverick or something like that. Like I don't even know
Yeah.
him in my mind. I don't even relate him with anything called Top Gun. So does he think he is Tom Cruise or something? Like I don't even get that. So
Well, I mean,
he.
he was
Mhm.
he was one of the characters in the new Top Gun
Oh,
remix or remake. Yeah,
okay, I didn't even
I
know
think
Top Gun. Honestly, I didn't even know Top Gun was even remaking something like a
yeah,
reboot
yeah,
of
I didn't
Top
see the
Gun.
part.
I didn't even
But
know
you
that
know,
was
he's
happening.
well. Let's just say, let me just tell you this: he's been with this actress, the Serbian model Nina Sinikar, actually since 2015. So this is not a short term relationship; it's pretty long term. And what's interesting, I think, to a lot of people, it'd be one thing if he was, appealing to black women and getting them to tune in to the show by showing this sort of authentic appreciation for black women. It's another thing, and then let's say he was doing that, and everybody also knew who his girlfriend was. Like if somebody really loves you, they're going to show you off. They're going to show you to the world. Like I've done both. I have had situations where I didn't want to show off the person I was with, and then I have times like now with you. I'm happy to show everyone that I'm with you because I'm my commitment level is deeper, right? And so the fact that he hid this woman like all these years, these people followed him. You could have been his number one fan. Like you could be the head of his damn fan club and have no idea who his girlfriend is. So it almost speaks to a type of almost borderline unethical brand management.
Yes. He's presenting himself because all on his page, he's got pictures with he and Issa Rae. He's got pictures with he and all the other cast members of Insecure and other black women, prominent black women. It's not one white face, white woman, white female face on his Instagram page. And then boom, all of a sudden he's with this lady. Like, why is he holding her into the light now and he never had been before? That
Yeah,
it's
and
a
then
little kind of like a switcheroo. Like, what the hell's going on?
yeah,
Mhm.
then when he does bring the white woman out to say, "Hey, I married this lady,"
He
he
turns
cuts
the
off the
comments off.
yeah, he cuts off
Like
all
he
the
don't
comments
trust
because
us. Like
well,
because he
because
was.
he knows y'all pissed. He knows that black women will feel like they got a rope a dope, and I don't blame them because I think the world kind of just really disrespects black women in ways that are highly inappropriate. When I was doing my thing, and I've always been okay with presenting myself as a very pro-black person. I never felt I could be authentically 100% pro-black and then turn around and say, okay, but when I'm making the most important decision of my life, the biggest investment I'll ever make, it's not stocks or bonds, it's not anything in my business, it's who I spend my life with. So it's like, so I'm down with y'all. I got your back. Oh, but when I really make the big decision, I'm gonna go lay down with Becky and pass all my wealth on to this Serbian lady, even though this Serbian lady, she wasn't the one that made Insecure the number one show on HBO or whatever it is. She wasn't, the Serbian people were not the ones who carried you and had your back, in a world that doesn't love you very much. And I just really am curious. I really would love to understand, how we can do that. How there are people that, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I'm not saying people don't have a right to marry who they want to marry. They can marry who they want to
Hmm.
marry, but it's almost like he used black women to create this brand. Like, you're this black female sex symbol or sex symbol for black women, and then it's like, oh yeah, yeah, but I wouldn't really go marry you. I was just pretending. When something as important as marriage, I would never share that with a black woman. My Lord Jesus, well, who would ever do that? So I don't know. That's what I'm kind of seeing.
Yeah. The thing is that in the black community, we like realness. When people say got to keep it real, we're not talking about being stupid and ghetto. We're talking about keeping it real, like the type of image that you promote, the type of brand that you promote is also reflective of who you are. And that's why I think, like in the black community, we've always been accepting of LGBT population. Like if you're a homosexual, we respect you more if you were just out. If
Mm,
you were just, this is who I am, love me for who I am. And we can applaud that because you're being your authentic self. But the closeted homosexuals is the one where we just kind of turn our nose up because it's like, why are you going to be one way and then be a different way? Like, we don't like the two face. It just feels like he was being two
mm,
faced. Like, we get insulted. We love when people are just who they are. Your private life, your public life, it should be very closely tied to who you are as a person, even the type of roles that you pick and all of that. Like, as an actor, we kind of put that on you a little bit, that you should, that it should be really authentic. And now it's like he's built up this brand or he's built up this image that he's one way. And then all of a sudden he's posting a picture of he and Becky. I don't even know her name. She's probably a very lovely lady. We don't know. But, then she puts this picture up and it almost seems like he was just kind of like threw the bomb out there and then just go high. He's probably enjoying his honeymoon right now. And I hope he has a very successful marriage. It's not anything against him. It's just like, who was telling him how to run his career in this way? This it seems very
mm.
unauthentic, and that's the part we don't like. Black people, we
Yeah.
don't like that kind of
So
thing.
so basically, I mean, I think to summarize it, it's almost like he was in the closet, and
Yes.
and you're really thinking that you're looking at somebody who's really interested in someone like you, but he's like, no, I was just pretending to be interested in you to get something from you, right? I want to get my fame, I want to get my fortune, I want to get my I want to make my show number one. And black women are actually the most loyal customer base in America. Black women are an intelligent consumer group. Black women will, if they love your show, they will watch it religiously. And so, I think that Issa Rae, I don't know if she should address something like this publicly, but I really think they need to think about their brand because they're associated with this. They knew that, he had this Becky thing going on in the background. And while people want to act like this thing doesn't matter, I think something as serious as marriage is a big deal because there are a lot of people that, just won't marry a black woman, and marriage matters. Marriage is how wealth gets transferred. Marriage is the greatest form of commitment that a man can make. So, I think that women should clearly understand. I think they get it, but in case they don't, a man just flirting with you or sleeping with you or dating you or making you a baby mama or whatever it is, that doesn't come close to the level of commitment required for a man to say, I'm taking you on as my wife. You are my equal. You are sharing in my assets, my fortune, everything that I have is partly yours. And so that is, at least in my life, that was the biggest decision I ever made. And I remember telling everybody that was listening to me back in 2016, I said, I don't know if I'm going to get married. I'm not going to make anybody force me to get married. But if I get married, you can bet your ass I'm going to marry a black woman because I can't sit here and be the Mr. Pro Black, whatever I'm supposed to be, and then turn around and be like, oh yeah, but my here's my white wife and our non-white, non-black kids and black women. Y'all could just sit back and love and admire me and buy my stuff, but I ain't gonna marry. I wouldn't marry none of y'all. Like I just think that would be
Yeah.
insulting. That's my two
Yeah.
cents.
It is absolutely insulting. I think the thing is that it would be one thing, like he's using black people as a stepping stone for him to establish himself as an actor in a
Mm.
very successful television show. And now he has made his crossover step
Now he's
into
on
for
Top
it's
Gun. He get to
now
be
he's
with
in
Tom
Top
Cruise.
Gun.
Now you
Now
done
he's in
made it.
Top
White
Gun.
folks
He's
love you.
next Top Cruise, and he's got Becky on his side. And so it's almost
What?
like he has boom crossed over, and now he feels like he's gonna be
What?
making millions. That's like you boys. You talking about pro black and B1 and all of that, and then you get endorsed by I don't know who's the like big time white person. Who's the big time white people in the financial market?
I
I
don't
don't
even.
even know who it
Warren
is.
Buffett.
But okay, so here you are. It's a black business school, and you're doing all this work in the black community. And Warren Buffett hires you and collaborates with you, and then you leave everybody behind. You leave me behind, and
Yep.
I'm not light enough. You got to go and get Becky, and now you've made it because Warren Buffett is your friend. Like
I'm
it's
now.
almost like that's how it feels. That's how it
I'm now.
feels.
I'm
That's
now Buffett's boy. I'm gonna be Buffett's boy. I done made it. But this is common. This is a common thing. Like black people get used for in a lot of ways. We are economic hoes. That's the term I would use. Is, economic hoes in the sense that whenever you want to get pop a product off and make it hip, you sell it to black people. Whenever you need people to come and work for your companies, you go get black people. Also, even with HBCU professors, I did an interview one time where I went down to Kentucky State University. It wasn't an interview. I'm sorry. I was giving a speech there, and they introduced me to the finance faculty. And I remember I spoke to this Italian guy who talked about the HBCU students like they were just garbage, like they were just the most ignorant, dumbest people ever. And I think he trusted me because I'm a PhD like him, but he didn't understand he was talking about my people. And I remember thinking, this is crazy that these students are being taught by somebody who has so much disgust for them and disrespect for them. And his whole attitude was that the only reason you would teach at a HBCU is because you can't get a real job. So you teach
mm-hmm.
at a HBCU just so you can use it as a stepping stone for your real opportunity. And I think that's kind of, the pattern that I see is that black people kind of become mules. They carry the water for everybody else. And so I think the brother owes black women an apology. I mean, it doesn't mean he should apologize for who his wife is, but I think
Yeah, I
that
mean
this
that's
deception
fine.
is a
And he
problem.
can marry whoever he is. It does feel a little like it feels a little underhanded, and he did have a baby with her, and so and I'm sure it's a beautiful baby. We don't know, but he posted pictures of the baby, but you don't really see the baby's face, and
Mm,
so it's almost like he was kind of
interesting.
hiding the ethnicity of this baby because I'm sensing there's an internal struggle going on with him. Like I got to turn the comments off because I'm not prepared to deal with the backlash that he's getting. Hell. I think he feels like he was a little disingenuous. At least it seems like he has a conscience. But it's just like he's struggling right now. He's struggling. This should be the happiest time of his life. He is a newlywed, and he seems to be really happy. But I think he is really struggling, and he's probably a little worried about what's going to happen and what his future is going to hold. And maybe he's thinking, "I'm gonna go enjoy my honeymoon, and I'm gonna just let all of this die down." But he made some mistakes.
Well, at least he's dating black women on TV. he'll, he'll feed you the fantasy world, right? But by the way, everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My wife, Dr. Alicia, is a licensed couples therapist, and she's been working with couples for over 20 years, and she's a full professor of social work. I am a professor of finance, so we love to talk about love and money and psychology, and just try to have intelligent conversations about things that are happening in the black community. And so if you could take 1 second, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I also want to remind everybody that July 22nd, if you live in Atlanta, Alicia is hosting a speed dating event at the Black House, aka the Legacy Center. If you'd like to learn more about the event on July 22nd and just meet some cool other singles in your age bracket, feel free to go to boyceandalicia.com. You have to register and pay in advance, but if you go register at boyceandalicia.com, you can still come by. It's going to be in Atlanta, July 22nd. So anyway, all right. So let's all right. So with this thing with Jay Ellis and Insecure and Issa Rae and all that. So do you think that, so I think about it like this too, right? If you play devil's advocate on this, look, Hollywood's competitive. It's really tough. It's hard to get opportunities. Maybe this is just all that came to him, right? And maybe it wasn't a reflection of who he was, or maybe it was a part reflection. Like maybe he really was Mister, Black Lives Matter, and really does have a respect and admiration for Black women. He just happened to fall in love with Becky. So what do you say
Hmm.
to that in terms of, like, what was he supposed to do? Just not take the opportunity? Do you think that it was the responsibility perhaps of the people who were running the show? Because a Black woman is, in charge of that show, Issa Rae. Do you think that it could have been their responsibility to say we can't mislead Black women, because it is a serious thing? Like, I feel like the dating market is a little bit awkward for some Black women, and I feel that so it's not just a matter of entertainment. It's a matter of kind of saying, with this, with just all of this, it almost says to me, Black women were rejecting you again. Like, yeah, you can admire him, but he don't admire you. It's not mutual. It's not reciprocal. Um, and I personally would be insulted by that. Like, I don't think I would ever give a ton of loyalty and support to someone who wasn't willing to do the same for me. So, what do you think? I mean, do you think that he's the only one culpable? I mean, what other thing do you think he could have done to make it better?
Well, I mean, Issa Rae got married recently, and she married a black man, and he
Okay.
was at the wedding. I think he was there. He was there at the wedding, so it's not like something that Issa Rae kept it black, and so of all the dating choices he could have had out there, all those beautiful black women that he acted with, there's a ton of. Let me tell you, have you ever been? Anybody been to Los Angeles? Like everywhere you go, it is gorgeous black women out there. Now I don't know how they are, mentally, how they are inside, but all of them can't be bad. I mean, it's just like I don't get it.
Well, it's I remember talking to a Black actress in LA. I met a few actors and actresses because I've actually, made a couple projects out in LA. And the sentiment from this Black woman, and there are other Black women I spoke to who feel the same way, is that there's just something in the water in LA. And typically among the men, they have a lot of them have a real hard time with Black women. And then of course you got the LGBT element, where a lot of your male sex symbols, very handsome men who are promoted as sex symbols, are very, very gay. And it's, again, that's a type of broad-based deception that just exists out there. And I don't know where it comes from. I can't explain it. I really don't know. um and I agree. I mean, he's an actor, right? He went out, he did a performance, and he, did the whole "I'm in love with a Black woman" thing, and whatever, and he got paid for that. And I can understand that, but I also think that, um just, it's, I wonder what's going on with the culture of LA, why there are so many Black men that don't seem to see any value in Black women, or they seem to put a priority on white women. I can't relate to it because I'd never thought that way. I always thought Black women were the prettiest ones. So I don't get the guys that, that do this other stuff. It doesn't make any sense, but it happens a lot in LA.
I wonder if it's a status symbol. It's just a way of just maybe pushing his career forward. Is to
Hmm.
show everybody that I am, I'm not going to be a problem. I'm not going to be too black. I don't want to be too black. I think he wants to be crossover because really all of the even movie directors, anybody in the industry, their goal is to get started doing black ensemble films and TV shows, but their real goal is to be a crossover actress. That's their goal. If I can get into these white movies, I can get into where the money is and all the resources are, and I don't care what kind of role it is. I'm going to make sure I'm in there, and just so that I can be seen, all the eyes can see me, and somebody's got to do it. So why not be me? I think that that's sort of like we're like the ghetto and where you get your start and then you accelerate and move on to all of these white spaces, and they're kind of wondering how black are you really. Well, no, I got this white woman on my side, We have a baby, we're married, we have this baby, we're building our family, and I want to make it crossover. I will be paying attention to his career
You
to
know
see
that.
where what his future will bring.
Well, let's be real. You know, interracial marriage can be a huge economic benefit for men and women, for women. I remember seeing this lady who got a really important position. I want to say she was like the head of ABC or NBC, one of the major networks. And I saw how well she was doing in Hollywood. And I said in my own head, I run these little tests in my head. And I said, I bet you if I look up her husband's white. And I'll be damned if her husband was a white. When I saw Ketanji Brown Jackson being nominated for the Supreme Court, I said,
Hmm.
I bet your ass she's not married to a black man. And I'll be damned if she didn't have a white husband who went to Harvard, you know. And people think that these things are coincidental, but no, you live in America. You live in
Hmm.
America. That whiteness does give you access to more resources from white people. So if you are addicted to white folks' resources and white folks' money and white folks' status symbols, then you're probably going to be attracted to white men and white women more so than your own. Like, so you might look over at a black woman and say, well, you can't get me into the executive suite, you know, or look over the black man and say, you can't help me get into the top levels of my corporation. I can't go run Netflix. If I got you on my arm, you can't get me in those doors because you're a black man. They're not going to let you in. Right.
Well,
So,
by the
so
way, just by the way, I'm gonna jump in here. The CEO of Netflix, he's a white man married to a black woman, right?
there you go. Right. Exactly. Boom.
Yeah.
There you go. So the reality is that in my view, I think that what made me so determined to marry a black woman was because I consciously made the decision to shift my thinking. I had to have a long talk with myself, 20 years ago and say, the white man's ice is not colder than yours. In fact, ain't no ice on this earth colder than black ice. Like, we are the coldest out here. We are we're the shit. Why in the hell are you out here chasing waterfalls and going after other people's stuff when you have all the gold buried right in your backyard? So ain't no greater prize than the black woman. Ain't no greater prize than the black man. Ain't no greater power than black people loving each other. And here's the thing. Last point I'll make on this, and I'll let you kind of bring us home, babe. But you got to understand also, why is it, ask yourself this question, why is it that in an integrated society that black couples have a harder time rising up the corporate ladder or getting to the Supreme Court than a blended couple? It's because black marriage is racism repellent. Black marriage is a threat to white supremacy. So, like you said earlier, babe, you were talking about how having that white wife on his arm lets him know he's safe. He's not going to ruffle too
Hmm.
many feathers. He's not going to come up in there being too blackety black. And so ultimately, um, black marriage is a revolutionary act. Black men and black women loving each other and getting along and making babies and building families and building wealth together. That is literally a threat to this whole white supremacist power structure. I'll let you make the last point.
I get it. I totally get it. I think that to make it in this world and you're talented, something's got to separate you from the pack. And I understand that it's just difficult for us as Black people to survive. Not even just survive, but just to live and to do our craft and to become successful and it's difficult to do that without compromising yourself. And so it is a decision that we all have to make about how far are you willing to go so that you can quote unquote make it in this world. And so I don't want to judge people for strategically dating people the way they want to date individuals. It's just that I know that they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And here, I don't know, it just feels like it it just seems like an awful situation to be in, to be a Black person trying to make it in a very difficult industry of Hollywood, and to be an actor when there's actors all over the place that are fabulous, and you got to separate yourself from the pack. You got to do a lot of grinding. You got to basically live penniless with in a apartment a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 people packed up in there in Los Angeles, and it's just hard trying to make it. And people do the best they can to make it, and you get taught lessons that you have to play the game a certain way in order to make it in this very competitive atmosphere. So I don't want to judge him necessarily too hard. I want to just flash a spotlight on the system that's really not there to really uplift us. But they give you the formula of here's what you have to do with your career in order to make it. And so here we have an example of someone that just, to me, said, "Hey, I got to do what I got to do."
Hmm.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, and I think, I think you can understand where he's coming from, but you also have to understand where women come from when they are offended. And I think that I think it seems to me that the answer is, honesty and transparency. Like, stop, don't pretend to be something that you're not. If you have this Serbian spouse, tell people, that's your girlfriend. Like, that's your girlfriend. That's your child's mother. Like, why would you keep
Yeah, she should
hiding
have
her?
been she should have been all over his Instagram. But no, he was hiding her.
Yeah, didn't see her nowhere. She was nowhere on the gram, except for the day where he posted the wedding picture and then blocked all the comments. So
So it was, maybe it was a conversation both of them had. Maybe they were just like, maybe she was understanding. Maybe she said, I know,
maybe,
baby.
maybe, I don't know.
This
But
is
anyway,
difficult for you.
I know, I know. But by the way, everybody, this is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. You listen to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, and we do a couple pillow talks each week. And also, I want to remind everybody, our financial flashcards are back in stock. So if you actually want to teach wealth to your kids, we have these awesome flashcards that are very popular, and they teach stock market investing and entrepreneurship and all the things your kids need to know in order to do well financially. The URL is financialflashcards.com. That's financialflashcards.com. Last but not least, Dr. Alicia's speed dating event is July 22nd in Atlanta. So if you are single and you want to mingle and meet some nice people, feel free to join her in Atlanta on July 22nd. I'm going to actually be in Philadelphia July 22nd, participating in the Urban Youth Racing School's Celebrity Grand Prix event with NASCAR drivers and everything else. And then the 29th through the 31st is the Black Wealth Builder Summit in Detroit. So if you want to learn about any of these events, just go to boycewatkins.com. The links are all there. We'd love to see you. We'd love to hang out with you. All right, everybody. Well, I'm pretty much done. We've talked. I think we've talked this one to death. What do you think, babe?
Yeah, I thought we'd get off on a tangent conversation, but it seemed like today we stuck to the topic. So bravo to us.
I know we sure did. We sure did. And we'll come back again soon. There's plenty to talk about in the Black community, and make sure you subscribe to the platform. And also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, you can actually go to boyceandalicia.com and you get on our email list. Alicia has a lot of good stuff, and also she sees clients and stuff like that. So if you'd like to get in touch, feel free to go to that website. All right, everybody, have a good night. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you all soon. I'll give you a call in a little bit, babe. Love you.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
All right, bye bye.